This is the second chunk of section 27 in Caesar's De Bello Gallico, book 5. If you're following along in the Mueller text, this is lines 10 through about line 17, just the beginning of line 17. And so we'll stop at confidat here. Essentially, this is the description of Ambiorix's discussions with Caesar's legates who are going to parley with Ambiorix after Ambiorix and the Gauls defeat their defeated attack of one of Caesar's winter quarters, and it's the beginning of a conspiracy as Ambiorix tries to persuade the Romans of some things in order to for them to fall into his trap. We're going to start at neque id. We're going to leave the ne alone for a second, and this, which he did concerning the attack of the camp. Now let's get the ne with the fecisse. And remember that this is all in an indirect statement begun by that locutus est earlier. So, and he said that he had not done ne fecisse, that which he did concerning the attack of the camp, either by his own judgment or his own desire. So take the sua there with both of those. So he had not done this either by his own judgment or his own desire, but by the compulsion of his state, his people, as it were. And, again, indirect statement, and that his power, his imperia, was of the sort that he had no less of authority, or excuse me, the multitude here. So the multitude is the subject of haberet, that the multitude, the crowd, had no less of authority, so no authority, no less authority over him as he himself had over the multitude, over the crowd, over his people. So this is essentially a labyrinthine way of saying that his authority was completely dependent on the will of his people. And so this was his excuse, is that, well, I didn't want to do this, but my people made me do it, and that's how we do things here. Poro means furthermore, or moreover. To the state, this had been the cause of the war. Now again, remember, an indirect statement begun by locutus est earlier. So he said that this was the cause of the war to his state. The state, or here because the state is the subject of potuerit, could not resist this sudden conspiring, this sudden conspiracy of Gallic peoples. And so id se facile ex humilitate sua probare posse, and again, indirect statement, and that this, he could prove this. So he was able to prove this thing easily from his own low or humble position, because he was not so unskilled of affairs that he trusts that the Roman people could be conquered by his own troops. So some rather difficult, I think, tricky grammar there. But remember that that the whole thing is an indirect statement, and that's going to go on for a while. And then we have this subjunctive clause at the end. So he was not so unskilled of affairs that he trusts, or that he confides. Well, trust probably works better. That the Roman people could be conquered by his own troops, by his own forces.